Okay, we're just going to wait for a second to make sure the video feed is good. It looks like we're good to go. Great. Welcome tonight to the Agoura Hills Planning Commission meeting. Please silence all cell phones and other electronic devices. If you wish to speak or submit a written comment, please complete a comment card for each item and submit to the city clerk prior to the comment portion of the item. I'm going to call this meeting into order. Great. I will defer to Commissioner Sharon for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand. Right hand over your heart.
Great, thank you very much. I will defer to our city clerk for tonight's roll call.
Thank you. Good evening. Commissioner Platzer?
Present.
Commissioner Sharon?
Present.
Commissioner Stein?
Present.
Vice Chair Reinhardt? Chair Roth?
Present.
Chair Roth, you have a quorum with Vice Chair Reinhardt absent.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Reinhardt has submitted a request for an excused absence for tonight's Planning Commission meeting. Can I get a motion for and a second to approve her request from a fellow commissioner?
I make a motion to approve Commissioner Reinhardt's request for absence.
I second the approval for her absence, Jessica Reinhardt.
Great, thank you. Now I'll defer to our city clerk. It looks like we have a motion and a second from Commissioner Stein and Commissioner Platzer.
Commissioner Platzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Sharon?
Aye.
Commissioner Stein?
Aye.
Chair Roth?
Aye.
Chair Roth, you have approval 4-0.
Great, thank you very much. And we will move on now to the approval for tonight's agenda. Will the maker of the motion, and second to approve the agenda, please state your names. I should have made that more clear on the last one.
Commissioner Sharon makes a motion to approve the agenda.
Merrill Platzer approves the agenda.
Great. I'll defer to our city clerk for a roll call vote.
Thank you. And just to clarify, that was a second from Commissioner Platzer to approve the agenda. Commissioner Platzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Sharon?
Aye.
Commissioner Stein?
Aye.
Chair Roth?
Aye.
Chair Roth, you have approval 4-0.
Great. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to public comments for items not on the agenda. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on items not listed on tonight's agenda that are under the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. If you have something to distribute to the Planning Commission, please do not approach the dais. Hand your item to our city clerk and she will distribute on your behalf. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and the speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons addressing the Planning Commission shall not engage in disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of tonight's meeting. I will now defer to our city clerk if we have any public comments.
Thank you. We did not receive any written correspondence or public speaker cards.
Great, thank you. Moving on, the next section on tonight's agenda is for our consent calendar. This section is reserved for persons wishing to speak on any item on tonight's consent calendar. I will now defer to our city clerk.
Thank you. We did not receive any written correspondence or speaker cards.
Great, I will now defer to our commission if there are any questions on tonight's consent calendar. Great, seeing none, I will now call for a motion and a second to adopt tonight's consent calendar. And please state your names.
Commissioner Stein makes a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Commissioner Platzer seconds the motion.
Great, I will now defer to our city clerk.
Commissioner Platzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Sharon?
Aye.
Commissioner Stein?
Aye.
Chair Roth?
Aye.
Chair Roth, you have approval 4-0.
Great, thank you very much. And while we're all here for tonight's Planning Commission meeting, our next item is to conduct a public hearing to consider an approval of a conditional use permit and site plan architectural review permit. I will now open the public hearing and defer to our Community Development Director, Denise Thomas, for staff presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening, Planning Commission Chair Roth. My name's Denise Thomas. I'm the Community Development Director here in the city. This evening, we're going to present to you an item to approve a conditional use permit to make improvements on an existing, a developed site within the city. Robbie Nesevic, our principal planner, will be giving you the staff report and will be available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Good evening, Honorable Chair and members of the Planning Commission. Tonight, we're going to be discussing an application from our applicant, Keystone Strategic Planners, for a conditional use permit and site plan and architectural review permit that was submitted on May 17th, 2024 for the construction of a new garage/barn, a sports court, a pitching bullpen, and associated stairs, paths, and landscaping. The property is located at 27901 Blythedale Road off of Chesbrough Road in the Old Agoura Design Overlay. The site is 6.45 acres in the OSR zoning district. The existing residence on the site is 7,057 square feet with an attached garage, a swimming pool, and 2 driveways leading up to the home. This is a site photograph of the site where the proposed improvements are going to be located. The improvements are going to be located to the right. You can see that there's an oak tree to the left, which is going to be avoided. The project was actually sited to avoid impacts to the oak tree, and it's located outside of the tree protection zone. The site's located in the LA County Designated Sensitive Ecological Area, so a biological report was submitted with the application. However, no sensitive species were found on site, which contains mostly non-native grasses. The landscape plan shown here shows a good representation of everything being considered with the project. The little circles are all the proposed plantings, including 3 coast live oaks, a California sycamore, a California laurel, and other native shrubs. The driveway on the right side of the image is being improved from a DG path. At the end of the driveway is the proposed garage to the right of the basketball court. And lastly, the new pitching bullpen is on the left-hand side of the screen. Here are the project renderings. On the left-hand side is a view of the garage/barn as seen from the main home. You can also see the proposed basketball court in the background. And on the right-hand side is an aerial rendering of the garage and the sports court. Again, on the left-hand side is a rendering of the sports court and the garage. You can see that there's proposed outdoor lighting on these renderings. The outdoor lighting is shielded and downward facing, and we do have a condition of approval that states that the lights are to be on a timer to automatically shut off at 11 p.m. This table is for the zoning conformance. I'm not going to go through each individual standard, but the project and the new garage does meet the building height requirements, floor area requirements, building site coverage, and building setbacks requirements for the project and for the site. The project has been determined to be categorically exempt from the CEQA guidelines per California Code of Regulations, section 15303E, new construction or conversion of small structures. The project proposes accessory structures on a site with an existing single-family residence. The biological assessment submitted with the project application confirmed that no sensitive or protected species are present in or near the project area. No significant environmental impacts are expected from the development of this project, and no exception to the categorical exception applies as set forth in section 15300.2 of the CEQA guidelines, including but not limited to the subsection C, which relates to unusual circumstances that could have a significant effect on the environment. And so with that, staff recommends the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit case number CUP-2024-0029 and site plan architectural review permit case number SPR 2024-0047 for a new detached garage/barn, a sports court, a pitching bullpen, and associated stairs and paths, and making a determination of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act. With that, staff is available for any questions, and the applicant also does have a presentation once you're done asking questions.
Great, thank you very much, Robbie. I will now defer to my fellow commission if you have any questions of staff. Commissioner Stein.
Yes, thank you. The one thing I was reading is there's permeable and impermeable. It's under the 10%, but when the project's done, I mean, sometimes people just throw a little bit more concrete or whatever. Will there be somebody making sure that it does stay under the 10%? That's
Yes. So basically, the applicant submits civil plans that are reviewed by our Public Works Department for grading and drainage. So they approve all the final grades, and they'll be ensuring that it matches the proposed plans and civil plans.
okay. And in terms of, I mean, the one thing I realize that really not going to have any impact on any of the open space that's directly what I would call to the east. So it'll be free quarter. So this property, well, at least what I'm understanding is no real animals going through it or wildlife going through this particular area. So there's not going to be any impact. That would probably be some of my concerns.
That's correct. There's a property to the north and to the west that are existing developed lots. So the way that the improvements are situated on the northwest corner, it's already adjacent to disturbed property. So in terms of wildlife migration, it wouldn't have an impact.
If I have any other questions, I may want to ask the applicant. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Stein. Any other questions? Commissioner Platzer? Okay, go for it. Commissioner Schmidt.
Thank you, Robbie, for the presentation. Did we establish, like, is there any sort of idea if the pitching bullpen has a noise to it? I'm assuming it's a like a baseball pitch thing, like that, like shoots out balls at a high rate.
No, so that'll be just a pitching mound. So people playing catch. It's not a batting cage.
Okay.
So there won't be people hitting balls with a metal bat there. There's no fencing or anything proposed that would enclose the space.
It's just a space to like throw a ball back and forth.
To pitch.
Yeah. Oh, okay, great. And then I saw that there was an architectural review regarding this proposal. Do we know the outcome of that?
Yes, the garage is located or is composed of the same architectural materials as the single-family home, as you can see on this rendering. It's really just the same colors and materials as the existing home.
Okay, perfect. And then my last question is, in the conditions of use for the conditions of approval for the CUP, I'm curious. So there is the condition regarding LA Fire and all of the things that they require. Are we putting anything? Do we have anything in there about like ember protecting vents and eaves, like mesh netting, anything like that? That would that qualify under anything that the LA Fire requires in terms of their code? Let me see what number that is. But given our like recent history to our neighbors, just something I'm pretty present to, if you will.
Yes, so the way that it works is LA County Fire reviews for fire land development, which is access roads and things like that to be able to put out fires and have enough water to be able to spray water on fires. And they also review for fuel modification. So they make sure that the landscaping that's being used in proximity to structures isn't creating embers or combustible. As for vents and things like that, that's regulated by the building code. So the project goes through a building and safety review where they make sure that they have standards in the very high fire hazard severity zone that make sure it's essentially rated for very high fire severity.
Okay, and would that qualify for any sort of, so if they're in the very high severity zone, fire severity zone, is there any precautions that they are required on this build to take on that we should be aware of?
Yes, I mean, just generally speaking, across the entire city, we adopted very high standards for our building code because we're in the very high fire hazard severity zone. So we apply that to all structures in the city.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Those are my questions for now, and I may have questions that come up. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Sharon. Commissioner Platzer, do you have any questions tonight?
I'll wait.
Great. I just have a few questions. First is on the, there's a graph, I'm not quite sure where it's oriented right now on the slide here, but you have a comparison of all the compliance metrics. Can you pull that one? Thank you, yeah. Just real quick on, on the, I think it's I can't fully see it, but on the residence where it says all the way at the end, approved with variance. Can you just describe that?
Yes. So when the home was originally constructed, there's a standard in our municipal code that has a height limit for projects in the hillside area. Basically, what that standard says is that if your rear lot line is higher than your front lot line, you have to be within you can only build 15 feet from the rear lot line in terms of height. So that's roughly 23 feet in this instance. So when the home was originally constructed, a variance was approved to exceed that height limit for the principal structure. This application, since it's only for the garage and the main dwelling was already approved, this project doesn't need a variance.
Great, thank you. My second question is communications with the public. Did we receive any public comments on this? And did we receive any, specifically any comment from the older Agoura homeowners?
Yes, we received a letter of approval from the Old Agoura homeowners group. I received one person at the counter who had questions, but I forwarded him the staff report and he hasn't had any further questions or comments.
Great, thank you very much. I likewise will probably have some questions that come up dependent on the applicant presentation. Are there any last questions? Oh,
I
Commissioner
do.
Platzer? Yep.
What is the total acreage of the property right now?
6.45 acres.
That's the total property, not including the sports complex.
Yes.
Going once, going twice. Great. We'll move on to the next section here. Do any commissioners have any ex parte communications to disclose from tonight?
Commissioner Stein visited the property and drove around the neighborhood.
Commissioner Platzer? Do you have any ex parte communications to disclose?
No.
Great. I as well do not. Great. The public hearing is now open. I will defer to our applicant. You and or your representatives will have a total of 15 minutes to present to us. Please come on down. You may approach the mics up there. Adjust the microphone and watch for the light, red light on the podium. When you see the yellow light, you will have 1 minute remaining to wrap up your comments. I'll defer to you. Pleasure to have you tonight. Yeah.
Jewett, the Keystone Strategic Planning, representing the property owners for 27901 Blythedale. They are currently out of town, so we're here to field any questions you may have on their behalf. Next slide, please. Here's the vicinity map. Basically, it's located off Blythedale Road, and it's just a couple properties up from Chesebro Road. Next slide, please. Project description, as staff mentioned in their report, new detached garage, barn, storage building, a new sports court with a basketball hoop, and a new pitching bullpen. Next slide, please. These are the existing site conditions and constraints that we were working with the siting and design. The zoning is the OSR, Old Agoura Equestrian Overlay District. Size of the parcel, 6.45 acres. There's an existing 7,057 square foot residence with a 1,000 square foot garage and a 1,300 square foot patio cover on the south side, which is on the right of that screen. An existing pool, which is the triangle down to the lower right of the main house. There's an existing permeable driveway, which is at the top of the screen there, and then there's an existing asphalt driveway to the bottom. That was there before this house was built, and is accessed via a shared easement between the subject property and the neighboring property to the west, down below there. The green is the setbacks, and then there are a number of oak trees on the property that staff alluded to that looking to avoid impacts to those. Next slide, please. Yeah, we had this in PowerPoint before, but basically the lower left-hand corner there is the area where the proposed development is, to keep it in close proximity to the main house, cluster the development with other development, which keeps the eastern portion of the property open where the vacant lots are to the east. Next slide, please. Basically, another factor we were evaluating is visibility. It's tucked in the back corner. The topography of this property is unique. That's what led to the variance, the requirement for the variance. For the main residence, it goes up and then back down a little bit. The middle of the property is the highest. But this is basically looking down from where the driveway improvements begin to get to the proposed garage, and Blythedale Road is down the driveway from there, so not visible from there. Next slide, please. And this is looking at it from the other direction, from the driveway, and basically up over the rise, tucked in the back northwest corner of the property. Next slide, please. Okay, there's the proposed area where the accessory uses are going. Proposed project proposes development on the northwest corner of the site, closest to the other developed property, leaving the eastern portion of the site to remain in its natural state as a buffer to the open space and potential wildlife. Next slide, please. Also, as staff alluded to, a biological assessment was prepared and was submitted with the project application, which shows that the project area consists of mostly disturbed areas with non-native grasses. And that's a site plan from the biological assessment in the various colors there, and showing where we're proposing development in the non-native grassland. Next slide, please. The landscape plan will help the project to blend with the surrounding natural landscape and open spaces to the east, as well as provide a buffer for the residences to the north and west. That's basically the same slide that staff showed, showing all the landscaping that's being done around the sports court, garage, and pitching bullpen. Next slide, please. This is a breakdown of the different areas. Same slide staff has. The blue is the garage storage building. The tan is the sports basketball court, and the red area is the pitching bullpen. And yeah, that's basically just designed to be an area that's relatively flat. Put a pitching mound and a plate there, and people can play catch and practice their pitching there in a dedicated spot there. Next slide, please. Here's the rendering with the call out of the about 2 to 4 foot tall masonry walls around the edge of the court. Next slide, please. And then staff mentioned the lighting restrictions. So we've got the lighting plan submitted and designed to cast the light down onto the sports court itself to minimize any light intrusion. There's also a special condition of approval for an automatic timer for the lights to go off after 11 p.m. Next slide. Here's an elevation showing we're in conformance with our maximum allowable height based upon the measurement from the rear property line that staff was talking about. So we're in full compliance due to the elevation differential variance between where the proposed garage is versus where the main house is. No variance is required for the garage. Next slide. As noted by staff, these are the materials we're going to be using. These are actually photos taken from the main house, so going to be using like for like to match the main house. Next slide, please. And the 2 photos above are pictures of the existing house, and the 2 below are the renderings, matching style and materials to fit in with the character, or fit in with the property itself, and also fitting in with the character of the community. Next slide, please. And this is consistent with the old Agoura architectural design guidelines to integrate into the surrounding neighborhood. considering compatible scale, style, color, and feel. Next slide, please. This is the letter of approval that we got from the HOA. We believe that the project complies with the Old Agoura design guidelines and the use complies with local codes. Next slide, please. In conclusion, the proposed garage and barn and other accessory uses proposed are consistent with the City of Agoura Hills Municipal Code in terms of allowable uses and height of an accessory structure. The proposed accessory structure and uses have been carefully cited and designed to comply with the Old Agoura hillside development requirements and goals. The Old Agoura HOA has reviewed and approved the submitted plans and requested no modifications. The proposed project is compatible with the natural, biotic, cultural, scenic, and open space resources of the area. The proposed project is consistent with the objectives and policies of the general plan. And finally, the Planning Division recommends approval of this project, and we do as well. Thank you very much for your time. I'll hear if there are any other questions.
Great, thank you very much. If you wouldn't mind hanging out for half a second.
Yeah.
Before we move on to any public comments, do any commissioners have questions of tonight's applicant? I see Commissioner Platzer rushing.
Yes,
Go
I
ahead.
do. What is meant by a garage/barn?
So the idea is it's basically going to be a place, they have a boat that they're going to put in there, and then there's also, didn't get really captured there, but we do have our 1,500 square foot equestrian space that was reserved from the original approval. There are some thoughts to potentially use that as a dressage area or something along those lines, so they might end up using the garage as a barn at some point in the future, is my understanding.
I live in Old Agoura. I hope they would use the garage/barn as also as a barn.
Yeah. So that is something that's being factored in. It's got the space. I think they just finished construction on it a couple of years ago. So the first priority was getting some activities for the kids in there, and so they're progressing along, and they've got their spots earmarked for that.
So I have another question. I went on site on Blythedale, and on the other side, the road is not well maintained. And the site where the house is, the road is maintained. But with the pitching mound and the sports complex, there may be at times a lot of activity. And what is going to happen with evacuation if there's, let's say, 100 people or 50 people using the sports complex?
It's not really, it's just designed for the children of the immediate family and friends. It's not designed for large, like, it's not like a professional or people would pay to go or train or anything like that. It's just purely recreational for the family and friends of the family.
And also the lighting is going to be down and not projecting on other
Yes.
homes and shielded, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you. Any other commissioner have questions of our applicant? Commissioner Sharon, thank you.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I enjoyed it. You did have a map of the property with green setbacks, and then you had another map of the property of the proposed. That's like the proposal, the pink. But then you had another one that had the setbacks, and this proposal there you go, back there, encroaches on the setbacks. Can you explain?
Yes, absolutely. So there are encroachments that are allowed within the setbacks for the low-level walls that we have. The garage is completely within the setbacks. And the sports court and the pitching area, which is basically just a flat area to throw the ball, those are allowed within the setbacks.
Understood. Okay, that makes sense to me. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Stein?
Yeah, my big concern only would be is you have friends over, I mean, not going to be 100 people, but noise and obviously lighting. But if in the future, if neighbors are starting to complain, hey, this is generating more noise or light than we want, is there a way of us, and how do we enforce something like that?
The Denise Thomas, Community Development Director, the Code of Ordinances allows people to have quiet enjoyment of their property. You're allowed, it's part of your constitutional bundle of rights for you to have people at your home, and we don't regulate that. If the noise occurs after the quiet hours, It's possible to call the sheriff's department and turn them in as you would any other neighborhood in the city, but there's no land use regulation that would prohibit people from using their property.
That was what I thought the answer was going to be.
Thank you. Any other commissioner questions of our applicant? No. Great. I actually have none. Thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate the presentation. Commissioner Sharon, thanks for your question, because that actually was the only question that I was going to come with. I will allow you to go sit back down for now. Great. You'll have an opportunity to come do a rebuttal if there's any need for that, but we'll call you back up here in a minute.
Thank you.
I will now defer to our city clerk for any public comments. If you have something to distribute to the planning commission, please hand it to our city clerk. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and a speaker's time may not be transferred to another speaker.
Thank you. We did not receive any written correspondence or speaker cards.
Moving along. Given that there are no further speakers, I will now defer to the applicant. Should you want to come back and rebut to any of the public comments that were received, you may now do so, or we'll move on. Before closing tonight's public hearing, do commissioners have any further questions of the applicant or staff?
No.
Great. Seeing no, I will move on. There being no further questions, I'm now going to close tonight's public hearing. Great. We will now move on to deliberations, and I will start with Commissioner Stein. Please take us away.
First of all, I always like to see that people are improving their property and trying to enjoy as much as they can. With that, I wish I had the land area to be able to have that for my kids when they were growing up. I have no issues at all with this project. I think it meets all the criteria. The biggest concern I had was the permeable, impermeable, and it seems that there are going to be controls on that so that there's not going to be any issues and that wildlife is not going to be impacted whatsoever. So I have no issues. I can make all the findings for this.
Great. Commissioner Stein, thank you very much. Commissioner Platzer?
I think this is a beautiful piece of property, and I have only issues was the garage barn, and I would like to see that to be used for more equestrian purposes, because that's what Agoura is about. And so that is my only concern.
And Commissioner Platzer, can you make tonight's findings with the staff recommendation?
Okay,
It's more merely for the record.
okay. I move to, is that what? I move and agree with the staff findings.
Great, thank you very much. Commissioner Sharon.
Thank you guys so much for the presentation. I too live in Old Agoura, and you know, we definitely have a sense of pride in our community, and as I think every community here does. And so I love seeing a house that, well, a project that comes that like really completes a home. And so you know, I'm happy that it matches the main house, and it, you know, it's to fulfill like, you know, like what you said, like having the space for your kids to do the things that they love. You know, it's great. I think it you know, passes the architectural review. It doesn't disturb any ecological areas. It doesn't disturb any oak trees. It has it complies with the equestrian overlay. You know, there's nothing really I can object to this. You answered all my questions. Great, and so, you know, I can certainly make all the findings.
Commissioner Sharon, thank you very much. I similarly can make all the findings for the staff report tonight, so I really want to thank you all for coming tonight with this very crowded city hall that we have, but it demonstrates, I know the applicant isn't here. I wish they could hear our public comments. I hope they go back and see that we are very excited to see them improve their home. Really, I think it demonstrates a commitment to remain here in Agoura Hills and really build their lives here. It's a community that I grew up in, and I know all of us have deep roots here, and so we love to see the investment back in our community. As I indicated, I can make all of tonight's findings and echo my commissioner's deliberations on the matter. Given that it seems like we all make tonight's findings, I will summarize the staff recommendation, which is to recommend that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving the conditional use permit case CUP 2024-0029 and site plan architectural review permit case number SPR 2024-004 for a detached garage barn, a sports court, a pitching bullpen, and associated stairs and paths, and deciding of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act. Robbie, thank you for helping me with that mouthful there. I will now call for a motion and a second to approve tonight's staff recommendation. State your names.
Commissioner Stein makes a motion to approve the conditional use permit and site plan architectural review.
Great, thank you. That's an, yeah. And then
Commissioner
do we have a second?
Sharon, seconds.
Great, thank you. I will now defer to our city clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Platzer,
Aye.
Commissioner Sharon,
Aye.
Commissioner Stein,
Aye.
Chair Roth.
Aye,
Chair Roth, you have approval 4-0.
appreciate it. I will now defer to our community development director, Denise Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. The decision of the Planning Commission is final within 15 days of the decision unless it's appealed to City Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving right along, are there any comments from staff for tonight?
I do have a comment. So it is now budget time, and so it's the time of year where staff takes a look at our resources, how we're using our tools, the tools that we have, and our practices, and how best we can move into the next budget cycle to better assist the public. What we are going to have on your agenda on the April 17th meeting is an item to have a discussion about moving the Planning Commission start time to match the City Council start time at 6 p.m. It would require City Council action, but I want us to have a conversation. It isn't agendized tonight, so we can't have the conversation tonight, but I want to have the conversation with you at the next meeting, or if you're not going to be at the next meeting, you can forward me your thoughts. The item would be approved at the City Council level. It doesn't come back to you because it's an amendment to Article 2, which is not an article within your purview. But I do want to know your thoughts. So essentially what staff is trying to do is to limit the period between when the City Hall closes and the meeting begins. Moving forward, as you've noticed, when we have long items, the Planning Commission meeting feels like it goes on for a very long time. By moving the meeting to match the start time that the City Council has, we've seen that the public can make 6 o'clock. We have packed audiences on a regular basis at our City Council meetings. And so we believe that we would still be able to serve the public. It would give us an opportunity to have more time before their bodies start to wind down. And yeah, we'll have that conversation with you guys next week. And if we are all in agreement, hopefully the City Council will see our desire to move the time to 6 p.m. and we'll be able to begin in August. So if it would be a code amendment, so it would go to the City Council in May, and then because it's a code amendment, it would take 30 days. It would take 30 days before it became effective, which means that would be June. You're dark in July, so August is when it would be effective. So when you come back from the break, you would begin the new time if the City Council agrees. So I just wanted to give you a heads up about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other staff comments? Great. I, being one of those who will be absent next week, will gladly have a conversation with you about that next week. Are there any comments from our Planning Commission? Seeing none. Great. Well, thank you for coming tonight. Looking forward to adjusting my body clock to being here at 6 p.m. and maybe in the future, but we'll talk about that later. The next regular Planning Commission meeting is scheduled for 6:30 p.m. Might be the last time saying that, on Thursday, April 17th, 2025, in the council chambers here at the Civic Center located at 30001 Ladyface Court, Agoura Hills, California. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.